Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Sam Williams, and today I'm joined by my host, Tom Mills. Tom.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I don't know, I just thought I'd jump in there and kick it off.
I think that was quite nice, actually. A good start to the pod. It's much more energetic than it usually is.
Yeah, well, exactly. But so, the reason we're here today, young man, is to talk about Appleby Golf Club, Course Diaries. Short and sharp, 20 minutes.
They're all short and sharp. They're all 20 minutes, short and sharp.
Not sure how many people listening to this will know about Appleby, or how many will have played it. But yeah, I wanted to go and see it. We were on our way up to Scotland recently. I had a little trip there, and thought, given the fact I was driving up solo for the journey, because you were, I think,
6-7 hours. What was it from Birmingham to St Andrews?
So 6 hours.
So we were en route to St Andrews.
Yeah, so 6 hours driving. Usually we're car sharing. We'll figure something out, whatever. But I just wanted somewhere to sort of stretch my legs for a few hours, and I sort of put a speculative call into Helen at Appleby Golf Club, who very helpful. Just sort of, it's quite bizarre when you're sort of trying to explain to somebody that you really like golf at a golf club.
Hi, Helen. It's Sam here. Sam, I really, really, really like golf, and I was hoping that I don't really like playing golf on my own because I don't really like my own company. So I was hoping that maybe I could play with someone if I could have a friend. Could you find me a friend, please?
That was kind of the vibe, wasn't it? And I thought, well, look, I'd seen a few pictures of Appleby being, in short, and thought looks really interesting. I heard it plays great all year round. It sits on those kind of high moorlands near T-Bay services, so it's kind of, not far off the Scottish border. Felt like a great place to stop. And
T-Bay is a good one for us personally, because I think T-Bay, it's that sign that you're halfway there, pretty much. It's
exactly.
Like you get to T-Bay, you're like, you get a good sausage roll in T-Bay services. Everybody likes that, and it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm halfway there. So it's a good spot to kind of like break up the journey.
Perfect place. But I thought, well, I'm not going to drive there, get out and play 18 holes on my own or whatever. That's just going to be a bit dry. So I said, look, a bit bizarre, but I'm sort of really into sort of golf courses and golf clubs. Would really like to see Appleby. I always think it's better experience when you play with a member or somebody that knows the course. And she was just like, yeah, absolutely. I'll have a chat with some of the guys up here, and we'll see you at 11:40. I was like, okay, great, yeah, brilliant. Thought they drove there. And yeah, very quickly we got president, past president there, wheeled out chairman of greens, Adam.
To be fair, you knew you were teeing off for 11:40, but what time did you arrive?
About 10:30 or so.
About 10 o'clock, something around that.
Yeah, I was keen.
And the reason we were travelling separately is I'd had a previous engagement the day before, and I had a meeting in the morning of Friday, and then I headed up separately. But I kind of finished my meeting a little bit early, and we got on the road, and I kind of established that I could get to Appleby for around about midday. So you called me about 10 o'clock saying, well, I'm just going to have a kick around, have a sandwich, and wait until 11:40 anyway. Do you just want to head to Appleby?
And your understanding of Appleby, so I'd seen some pictures and knew it was funky and cool.
I'd never heard of Appleby.
You'd never heard of it?
Never.
Right, so after just 5 minutes of nonsense context setting there, but Appleby is known for having the horse fair, I think, each year, which is very popular with the travelling community. Apart from that, don't know much about it. Very nice town, got its own train station, clearly would have been quite a busy sort of trading post maybe in sort of early 1900s, which all started to add up then when I drove through Appleby on my way to the club. It was like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. So, little bit of a potted history here. I believe the club was founded in 1894.
1903.
Say again?
1903. Set on their gate.
No, club was founded in 1894. But what happened was they moved to basically another site in 1903. So they played on a nearby sort of Colby, not far, but then they moved over to where the current site was. And that's where Willie Fernie of Troon fame laid out the course for them. The reports of the day were it was, rapturous kind of feedback.
So the story with that goes as well. We were lucky enough to be with the president, an ex-president, chairman of Greens, Adam, who was also the course record holder.
Yeah, we'll come on to him in a bit.
Absolute ball striker.
Come on to him in a minute.
We were going around, and they said that with Fernie they got him down, and it was kind of like, yeah, we'll get you trained down, we'll give you a good night out, we'll put you up in a hotel, you could draw it on the back of a fag packet, and that was that, and that's all it was. He came down, did it on the back of an envelope.
So there's definitely a lot of good history there. I think we're going to talk a bit about the course, we'll talk about the round, and we'll talk about thoughts and whatnot. But just in terms of that, there is a lot of heritage. What I would say about the golf course is there hasn't been massive alterations to the layout of the course. Most of the green sites are original. They've done quite a bit of work within the club to understand kind of, all the history and stuff. And it's quite interesting. There's a couple of other green sites that may have been used and some moderate alterations. But by and large, you're playing a routing that pretty closely reflects what would have been laid out in 1903. So, thoughts. Just talking about the golf course then. So you're going in with zero expectation,
which happens to be the way that I like to approach golf courses. I like this is part of a mini tour of ours, and there'll be another podcast released shortly of another course that we visited. And for those of you who follow us on social media, maybe you already know where it is, but I like to go places with absolutely no idea about them, because I find that if I go in with any previous expectations, I tend to have a tainted view, either positively or negatively. But I think I don't get my own views if I go in and so I went to Appleby and I didn't look up what it was. I just turned up and said, I'm going to play this golf course. On my way there, you're acutely aware. I mean, you're in the Lake District anyway, so you're higher, but you're acutely aware you're getting higher as you travel into the golf course, and you're in the clouds. It's high. The views are magnificent, and you pull up and you got the clubhouse there. That's 1999. I think that the new clubhouse, the extension was done in 1999, but it's an original clubhouse, and it's all very.
It's got a very nice feel to it. It's like a very relaxed club. The green fee. Off season we were playing £25 green fee, goes up to I think £35-40 maybe peak summer rate. Like, this is not expensive golf, and outstanding really for what you're getting for your money. It's just a really friendly club, really nice, just very nice clubhouse. Everyone was really friendly. Like, it's one of those places that you walk in, and I always I love going to golf clubs for the first time, but there's so many golf clubs you go to that you're looking forward to it when you get out of the car. And it just feels like you're either not welcome, it's just not a vibe, and it's just not the case at Appleby. Everyone really welcoming, everyone friendly, just very relaxed place, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I think as a positive, before we go on to the course and the round and how it went, I mean, I don't think you can ever knock a golf club that's got a snooker table in.
No, I'd subscribe to that.
Snooker room. It was, you walked in, there was no one about playing snooker, but I was like, yeah.
Could loiter around there quite a bit.
Yeah, I could hustle in there. I mean, I've never had a break more than 10 in my life, but I could hustle in there.
But given we've been obviously a few months through winter now, kind of just coming back out into spring, hopefully, it's kind of wearing thin playing on some heavy ground. So, coming up to Scotland, coming up to Scotland, thinking bit of links golf, brilliant. Knew this was, quite sort of firm ground, plays quite linksy. As soon as we got out there, I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. Surfaces looked pure, like the putting surfaces just looked like, oh, wow, these look amazing. And it's just nice, firm turf. So, like, I think, one of the biggest things here for me with Appleby would be that the golf course is great, but it's infinitely greater, pure and simply because it's on good land that plays firm year
Sandstone.
round. Absolutely.
Sandstone's what it's built on.
If it was on heavy clay soil, it would still be a nice golf course, wouldn't be particularly playable, and it wouldn't actually be that enjoyable to play most of the time because the ball sticks. Whereas it was really alive, wasn't it? Like, from minute one when you hit a shot, you can see the ball bouncing. Your approach shot into one. You play the first, which is, a sort of little dog leg, very gentle opener of about sort of 320, 330 or something. You're flicking a wedge in and you're watching the ball sort of like, running along the ground and taking, and you nearly canned your approach, to be fair. But it's like, this course is alive and the ball's running, and it's just so much more enjoyable than just watching it land and stick. Yeah,
for sure. I'd go for that. But also, I mean, this place is high and it's fairly exposed, and it was windy. I mean, we played it at a particularly bad time. And the running joke, I think, that we've always found is like, you go to a links course or wherever that you visit, and it's like windy, and you're like, you say to a member or someone who works, you're like, Christ, this is windy, isn't it? And they go,
no, it's not. No,
it's not windy. This is a gentle breeze, and you can't even stand up. But like, we got out and we were like, we said to Ray, who's the past president, we were like, yeah, this is bad, isn't it? And he was like, it never gets like that. This is really
crazy
bad.
Wind.
Now we're talking like a constant 40, gusting 55, 60. It was.
There were some shots on the back nine where I was really struggling to hold my balance.
Yeah, it was like there was a point, I think, on like the 11th or 12th where Adam, who is the chairman of Greens there, that is also an absolute ball striker, he couldn't actually peg up the ball. Like, as he pegged up the ball, just fall off, and he kept on. Yeah. I mean, it was windy, but like that didn't detract from it for me. And in a way, actually, I quite enjoyed the battle of it. And it
was a test.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a test.
Yeah, you just could not impart spin on the golf ball, otherwise you're going to get marmalised. But I think there are some holes there. As you play, one is up the hill, and it kind of, like you say, a gentle dog leg, and then you turn around 2 and 3 and 4. 2 and 3 are
you're heading back
straight into wind.
But it's almost south, aren't you? And it was northerly
and then
wind.
You come across this stretch of holes which are just breathtaking. 4, which is the downhill
4 I really
par
liked,
3.
although it's great fun. Like it's like a little dinky wedge down the hill. You're landing the ball on basically a ski slope. Again, it's just an exciting golf hole to play. I would say it's probably not the fairest golf course, fairest golf hole rather, but it's a great fun golf hole to play. Like, I don't think elevated downhill par 3s are ever bad, but that one's particularly enjoyable.
But to set some context, you play 4, which is, I think it plays 160 odd downhill, but because it's all runs down to it, and it's fairly well cut all the way down to it, you can hit literally anything you want down there, and it'll kind of make its way to the hole.
Yeah.
And you've played really, 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 really downhill to get to this. So obviously, physics and the law of life tells you that you've got to go back uphill. Yeah. And now you get to 5, which was just...
Yeah, so we should probably talk a little bit about Adam at this point before we sort of get too much into the round. So Adam was playing with us, and then Ray and Dave, the president, passed there and just having to wander around and chatting to us and telling us about the course. And walking down to the 4th green, you'd sort of said, heard Adam's got the course record here. So, oh, crikey, what's the course record? It's gone 61. It's like, geez. Yeah, now it's adding up. I've just watched this guy slot drive a 2-iron into the last 2 par 4s and nearly birdie both of them. I was like, this guy's a serious ball striker. So, Adam was like quite keen to sort of test the ball strike, and I think it's fair to say. So he took us to a teeing ground for the 5th, which you play up across this slope, don't you, of bracken? Yeah. But it's kind of like playing up the Eiger as well. Like, it's serious elevation. Yeah. I don't get much launch on the ball at the best of times. I genuinely didn't think I was going to clear it with the driver.
Yeah, I think it was probably kind of, you're looking at maybe 30 yards, 20 yards of elevation.
Yeah, it's not that bad a carry, to be fair.
No, the carry is about 150, but it was into a howling breeze, and we were down in this sort of this quarry bit that you tee off from, and you tee up over this hill. And I'm turning around and at this point, Dave and Ray, the president and past president, they're walking around with you and they kind of sussed us out, and they were just giving us jip. They're like, "You're never going to make it. You can't get up there. You're gonna need everything you got on this." And I'm trying to wail on.
I was doing some enjoyment. I was getting absolutely roasted on the way around. But no, that was cool.
That's absolute pesh.
Yeah, it's absolute pesh shot. But it was. very, kind of great little stretch of holes that you then start sort of meandering away. One of the strange things with the course is it's a huge amount of land they've got there,
Yeah,
like
ridiculous
450 acres. It's an 18-hole golf course. It's not really changed in terms of the routing, and you don't really go anywhere near the clubhouse until you get back to 18. So you go around this sort of huge loop.
Yeah, it's not an out and back. It's a round and round, isn't it? It's like a massive circle.
It's not. What I wouldn't say is it's not a massively long walk. There's no green to tee. It's fine and stuff. Like everything's really nice there. But you play in this kind of huge loop. So you play out and across when you finish 5, and sort of head up towards these huge sort of moorland sort of hills. And you play a collection of 6, 7, 8, and 9, just banging par 4s, really, really good 2-shotters, good mix in length, different shot types,
because it rotates a lot as well. The wind is always different.
Exactly. And you play like the 8s. 8's just an outrageously good half par 4. It's like 300 yards. Prevailing wind's going to probably help you. Little dogleg right. You sort of play onto this little sort of plateau fairway, really funky green site. Yeah, just amazing, and the whole course kind of goes like that. To be honest with you, doesn't it? There's no par 5s, 6,000 yards, par 68, a proper challenge.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I think Ray was saying. That some people look at it and say it's because it's not 6,000 yards, it's 5,997 yards. But par 68, and they're like, it's not even 6,000 yards. This isn't going to be a challenge. But like when you dial that up to a par 72, you can essentially add 200 yards a stroke.
But yeah, per stroke, I think. Yeah.
So now you're looking at 6.8. That's not a short golf course.
Yeah, no, definitely. It plays long, like from the backs, which Adam was only too keen to get us back to as many times as he could. But yeah, I think that aspect is great. I think a lot of variety.
But the middle of it, because there's 450 acres or whatever, and you play around a big circle, and in the middle of it's like a working farm, and all around, I think the whole course it's very much got Cleve vibes. It's got Kington vibes. There are sheep everywhere. There's horses on it. It's
very raw.
It's not common
really
land, because they own the freehold of it, but it's the farmers have right to pasture animals on the land. So there's animals everywhere. It's all maintained by the sheep. And as you go across, Ray's going, see those sheep? Good sheep. He points to us. See those sheep? Bad sheep. We don't like those sheep. And it's just it's just so raw, and it's just
very raw.
Yeah, it's very, very good. And the greens.
Well, I think those are the couple of things. So I think a couple of things that would be really unique to Appleby, because we're sort of talking about the course generally and stuff. I think a few things that are just specific, worthy of mention. I mentioned holes like 8 and 5 and 4 and some standout holes. For me, the condition of the course to play somewhere that you could pay for a green fee of £25, the putting surfaces were unbelievably pristine.
Yeah.
Now
they'd just been timed.
And it's like you say, they've got pasturing animals on the course. They've got the sort of Abu Dhabi thing with the electric fences around the greens. Sensible idea. Keeps everything off there. The putting greens were absolutely pure. They were lightning fast and true. That was just amazing. 3 greenkeepers that are looking after that place. Just amazing.
I think we were walking down 13, and there was kind of like the remnants of an old fairway trap, and I think Dave said to me, see that there? That used to be the only fairway bunker on the course, but we had to get rid of it. I said, why? So the sheep used to go and lie in it because all the greenside traps are within the electric fence, so that's fine. You could play it, so you just step over it, play your shots, whatever. And yeah, very, very, very good. So
I think for me the condition, would be like, that's point one. Like, it's just in good condition. I would be really confident saying to people, stop there on a trip up to Scotland or go and play Appleby. You're just not going to be disappointed with the condition. I think point 2, one of the things to talk a little bit about is sustainability in golf, and we'll probably talk a bit about that on another podcast. But it's like a Cleve Hill. It's a standout example of how a golf course can just be uber sustainable there. I thought that was amazing.
Because it's the right land.
Yeah.
because it's the land, like links land. It's the land that golf is supposed to be played on, that you can maintain very, very easily. You don't have to go nuts on fertilizer. You don't have to go nuts on trying to change the landscape to make it fit a certain way so that people can play golf. It's a plot of land that people are knocking a ball around on, trying to make it go into a hole, and they've just kept it that way, and that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, for me, there's a couple of others. There's been there's pictures I've seen of it, and maybe this is like a indictment of the Instagram generation we live in now. But I'd seen these pictures of like a really cool punch bowl green with some bunkering and stuff around. I was like, God, that looks insane. That's the 15th hole, which they call it the signature hole, and I know that's banned from the lexicon in golf architecture these days, but it is a particularly memorable golf hole, isn't it? It's the most outrageous punch bowl green I've ever seen. Like it's more of a bathtub green, but it's so steep on the sides. You play this sort of 170, 180 yard par 3. You can just about see the top of the flag fluttering around, and there's a marker post. And you just lump a club down there, and it's going to drain. And if you're chipping around the green, you can chip up and down the half pipe all day. And it's like, I thought it was a stunning golf hole.
Yeah,
really
you
good.
play it over like a stream that meanders its way through. So like it's all carry. It's like 160 yards of carry. But if you get it into that bowl, you've almost always got 6 foot for birdie. Like you just need to hit this gigantic bowl, and if you hit it, you'll have 6 foot for birdie, because everything just
everything goes
shuffles
back
down to the pin. It's just a hugely
fun golf hole.
Yeah.
I'd say it's one of the most fun golf holes I can remember playing last few years. Like it's just a great golf hole, so it sticks in my mind. So I think in the round of talking about it, I'm really glad I got to stay and see Appleby. I was just like, it's not. I'm unlikely to go and spend time in Appleby as a destination necessarily, but when you're driving through there and you've got the opportunity to bolt on another course, and there's loads of places you can play that, would love to have gone back to Silloth. It's been ages since I've gone back there.
That's something, you say, what's
and you always
around?
want to play somewhere different or new, or sometimes you're driving for 6 hours and you don't want to get out of the car and have a really full-on round and a really big day somewhere. You just want to, stretch your legs for a few hours, and it's just perfect. Like I was really glad.
What else was cool about? I think I got to I was on the 18th, and there's no trees at all on this golf course. It's this sort of one big loop, and that you do fall off green to tee. It's fairly close. It's fairly easy, and I think I turned around to Adam, who was the chairman of Greens, and I was like, you could play this thing backwards. You're like, and he's like, oh yeah, we do that. We're like, we haven't done it for a couple of years, but we do have comps where we play it backwards. I was like, that is just so good.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Because it is just all this big sort of loop. It's all in front of you. You can just. He said it is complicated because of the way that like the bathtub green is on 15, and there are some, that you're playing over quite a lot of rough because of the way that the routing works and stuff. But the fact that you can do that is mint. There's not many courses you can play backwards.
No, agreed.
And that was cool.
Yeah, it was very good. Two slight sort of side topics from the round. We already talked about how good a player Adam was. I was struggling a little bit on the back nine. I don't know if I've mentioned for a few hours, but I'm currently in the throes of a bad episode of gout flare-up. Anyone who's had gout will know it is insanely painful. And there was a few holes where we were going back to the back tees, and I was just praying we could go off a nearer tee box to save my stride.
Your gout is becoming it's becoming a pickle.
It's becoming like soundtrack for me. To be fair, we're going to have to fix this because it's not good. But I remember that being heinously painful for a few hours. One thing I wanted to talk about was tee boxes, which was a poor segue. But one of the things they're putting in, which they were, it seemed like quite a big topic. You usually get a handle when you go somewhere as to what quite a big deal for the members is, because they tell you quite quickly, oh, we're going into this gender neutral tee box scenario now. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Tell me about that. And I know a lot of clubs are looking at doing it at the moment. I just think it's just a brilliant idea. Like it just makes total sense.
Explain what you mean by gender neutral teeing grounds.
I think typically, certainly in the UK anyway, teeing grounds are usually marked with 3 colours, give or take. Whites being the back or the members/competition tees, yellows being the slightly more generous men's teeing area, the front tees, and the reds being the ladies. And I can't remember the exact sequence of colours. I knew, sleep since then, you're going to forget, but it's sort of like blue.
Orange was back, wasn't it?
Orange was back,
I think white
blacks.
was the middle. Yeah,
And they tried to remove some of the old stereotype colours. And it's absolutely right. It's like the colours then just represent, whether it's how long you want to play the golf course that day, the difficulty, the standard of player that's playing it. And I've seen things circulating online, people saying, these are, if you're a 18 plus handicapper, you'd play off these tees. If you're a sub 5 handicapper, you'd play these tees, etc., etc. And it just makes total sense. They were saying,
I think so, because I actually think, I've said this to people before. My handicap's just gone up. I've gone up to 8. I've gone up from 7 to 8, and I think that it'd be a sensible way for me to play golf would be to learn how to play scratch from forward tees. And once I can play scratch from a 5,000 yard course, then I start to move backwards and try and break par from a 6,000 yard course, whatever. But if I turned up to most golf clubs and said, right lads, I'm going to play off the reds today, like that, I think most clubs would be like, no, they're the ladies' tees. You can't play off the reds.
And there's some great holes to be had when you shove it forward on the teeing grounds. I think
Blackwell's a great example. I think Blackwell has got some fabulous tees where the reds are. Think about our 16th, our 13th. They're brilliant teeing grounds.
Better golf holes, arguably.
Yeah, they're brilliant teeing grounds. But we can't. They're the ladies' tees, so you don't use them. And I think once you strip away that gender identity and say, well, these are the forward tees, these are the middle tees.
I think this is going to be a big thing. I think the next few years,
eventually.
I'd go so far as to say that, tee boxes in general would probably be quite a big changing thing in the next few years. Maybe I'm like well behind the curve, even just mentioning it now, and it's like, this is old news, Sam, but. It's just a total common sense move, to be fair. They're saying, we've got ladies that play in the county side that are, low handicappers, and then they want to play in competitions with their husbands, and it's like they're having to go off the front box and the husband's off 18. Yeah. It's like, well, it should be the other way around. So, I can totally buy into it. But I think short podcast today.
Hang on, we're not done yet.
We're not done.
No, we got one more thing. I mean, I usually
who took the sausage anyway? Who took the can?
The soundtrack to this is usually you go up quickly and then I have an epic come back and do you over on the last. I actually think you took the biscuits on this one.
Did I?
I think you must have. You've hit the ball pretty sound around.
I hit it pretty good. I think there was.
I went off tour around about 15, 16 when we turned into the wind and 3 holes howling into on the way home. I was like, I'm done now.
I seem to remember having a stretch. I hit it pretty good tee to green. It was fiercely firm and fast, like I said. And that caught me out quite a bit, actually, if I'm honest, around the greens. You really had to think about, if you've got 150 in and there's a little bit of wind width, you had to be thinking, where am I going to land it? I've got to run it in. Some of the greens are crazy. Like I hit that shot short of the 11th green there, which is a sort of a nice little sort of fairly longish par 4 up towards the cottage in the corner. And the green is nuts. And I've hit what I thought was quite a decent 8 iron into the green, just to the front. I thought there's no harm, 2 putts, get out of here with a par.
It was an impossible 2 putt.
Ray's just gone, you're dead there. I was like, I don't know what you're on about, Ray.
On the green. You were on the green.
I think I've got 15 feet to the pin. I think we're okay here, Ray. It's like, you're dead. There's like these huge swales and knolls around the green, and I had to traverse one. I think it was physically impossible to get the ball within 25 feet.
We all went back and had a crack at it, and I think I hit the best putt you could possibly hit, and I had 25 foot left for. It's
quite cool. It's good fun when it's like that around the greens. You could play chip shots, back up the bank behind the green on some of the holes and watch it sort of move its way back. I think. Yeah, we weren't really keeping intense score, were we?
We weren't keeping score, but I'll give it to you. I think. I'm the only person who had the putt for eagle. But I'm telling you, I had a putt for eagle. I didn't have an eagle. I had a putt for eagle, but I think
slotted that drive onto one of the short par fours you play on the
but
1 in 12, I think it was.
But no, I think tip of the cap to you, my friend. You hit the ball sound in that wind. But
yeah, I didn't actually score that well though. I seem to remember there was a few. I think I had a spell of a few holes where I had sub 100 yards in, and I was walking off with 5, and I think I did that 3 holes on the spin.
You were quite sound at taking bogeys from unbogeyable positions, but
there were some places where it's physically impossible to take more than 3 shots to get the ball in the hole, and I seemed to manage it.
Yeah, but no. I think
the
overall, short and long
of
it is Appleby is. I mean, it. If you're being honest, it's never going to be the destination. Because you're not going to go, let's go on holiday to Appleby and make sure we go there for the golf. But it is 100%. If you're going to go drive to Scotland, if you're coming from Scotland, you're going down to the West Coast, and you want to stop, you don't always have to stop for a sausage roll in T-Bay.
I think you've always got to look at places that you want to play at some point, and if you get an opportunity, you should try and play them. We went away. I know this is a massive tangent here, but went away with the wife back down to nearby Tenby for a few days with son, and nice few days away and stuff. And I'd always wanted to play Tenby, and I never sorted it out. I didn't get it in. I drove away and I was like, I'm probably never going to be back near Tenby. I'm going to play the golf course, so that chance is gone. So for me, it was like, oh well, I want to see Appleby. I'm unlikely to get a chance to do it for another year or two. Let's just go and see what it's like, and I'm really glad I did. So
yeah, I'm glad I did it. It was good, and I actually think the membership and the all the staff there was so welcoming that if you give them a bit of a heads up and a notice, they'll roll out the red carpet. They'll get some people to meet
fixing
you,
with
some
people.
members.
I think
fixing up with the game. That's just
if you're in the car and on your own in these places. I do think there's a massive merit in reaching out to a club and saying,
happy to pay a green fee.
Happy to pay a green fee. I'd just like to play with someone. And they're usually obliged. So, no, short podcast, but really enjoyed time at Appleby, and curious to hear from anyone that's either played it, been, experiences, or whether or not it would now go on a possible travel list for the future.
Yeah, and certainly if you get the opportunity, please do go and support them, because it's a fabulous course and they're fabulous guys at Appleby. So thank you very much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've inspired you to think about going and visiting Appleby. And until next time.
Adios.
This